been talking for a very long time, so we're going to get started with our episode here.
Welcome to episode 4.
Yes, we're going to go over some stories today. We got a couple stories from listeners. We have our own stories, but I want to start off with this one I found. I have this book called The Big Book of Pennsylvania Ghost Stories, and I was looking through it, and did you know the nation's first ever known haunting was in Pennsylvania?
That does not surprise me.
Yes.
That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, so this man, Charles Adams III, he wrote a book called Montgomery County Ghost Stories. And in this book, it states that Susanna Reamer was the first person to ever see a ghost or spirit or anything of the supernatural in the nation. So this was in the 1700s. Susanna's father immigrated from Germany in 1730. And he moved here into what is now Montgomery County. And the Reamers were a respected church-going family, but that didn't stop the spirits from showing themselves, is what this book says. So in 1738, Susanna and her sister, they're outside, they're doing chores, and Susanna looks over and she sees a man sitting on a log. And she tells her sister, and her sister looks and is like, "There's no one over there. What are you talking about?" And Susanna's like, "What are you talking about? Like, he's right there. How can you not see him?" And when she looked back again, the man had vanished. And she was beginning to wondering if she, like, really did imagine him and he really wasn't there. So later on, she saw him by the neighbor's house. He was with the hired hand over there. No one seemed to be paying attention to the man. He was just kind of there. And when she looked back, he was gone again. And she's like, okay, if I see him again, I'm going up because, like, she really believes that this is a person.
Right.
Like, that this is nothing of the supernatural. I don't even know if she would know anything of the supernatural at this point.
If she came over on the ship, they know about it. Like, Britain is a haunted place. Reasonably so, considering all of the murder that they do.
Yeah. So she knew she was going to see him again. So when she did, and she told her sister, she saw him on a roof, and he was pulling thatching out of the roof.
Rude.
Yeah. But when she looked more closely, there was no hole in the roof. So he's just kind of like pulling out imaginary thatching from this roof.
Why?
Yeah, and she's like, hello? Like, so she runs and tells her sister, and her sister believes her. And she's like, well, go and talk to him. So she goes up and talks to him, and she said the man talked like he was speaking inside of a pipe. Like,
okay.
Like it was like almost very far off.
All right, yeah.
And he told her that he had been waiting for someone to see him and speak to him because he had a debt that he needed to pay so that he could, quote, be released.
He's like, I've been waiting here for a long time, lady. I need to tell you some stuff.
Yeah, like I need to, quote unquote, be released. I need you to help me.
I'm over here making a nuisance of myself, making a hole in your roof. Somebody has to notice me eventually.
Yeah. So he told her that he had an unpaid debt, that he could not move into the next world with it hanging over him. He didn't want his wife to have to pay this debt. So she was like, okay, I will go and try and help you. So she tells her sister about all this. They tell her their father, and they were like, okay, our dad's not really going to believe us. But to their surprise, he did. He fully believed them.
Are you telling me that this ghost is just like hitting her up for money?
Yeah, pretty much.
You can't even escape him in death.
No, you can't.
He's like, I just need to borrow $5.
Yeah. He's like, I owe money to this woman named Steinman. And she's like, okay. So she tells her sister about it. They tell their father. They didn't think the father would believe, but he like fully believed them. And so they get the money together. They end up tracking down the,
This is a scammer from beyond the grave. This is the equivalent of like when you get the phone call or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a Nigerian prince, but he's a ghost.
So when she was done talking to him, before he left, he said he had to return home. And when she asked where home was, he pointed to the cemetery that was down the road.
Does he just lives there now?
Yeah,
He's
I
like,
guess.
I guess they moved me into here.
Yeah, I guess that's where
It's
his
a little
family
cramped.
is. So they went to the cemetery. They found a marker where he disappeared, and it just simply said Miller. He had been a hired hand for another family in the area several years earlier and was skilled at roof thatching.
Does it say all of this on his headstone?
No, they did some research.
Oh, okay. I was like, this is a very long description. Because back then, like, you would have had to, like, really hammer it in there or whatever. Like,
but it is amazing.
It's not like they laser etch it.
It is amazing the stuff that they did put on stones back then.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot on those stones if you go back and look.
I just want like a scannable like QR code like put on mine. I don't really, well, you know, my beliefs about not being put in the ground, but like if I did have a headstone, like I want a like scannable QR code, and then like also like I want there to be a button that you could like play that plays songs, and it's just like Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus.
So they ended up doing some research, and they found out in 1733 there was a British ship called Hope that docked in Philadelphia. And on board were several people named Miller, as well as Catherine, which was his wife, and a woman named Hans Steinman, which
would be the woman that he owed money to.
Yes. So they assumed they had met on the ship, but the strange haunting over this unpaid debt, it became quite famous in the area. It was widely known. It was widely published. But Mrs. Steinman never came forward to collect the money. And to Miller's wife, she was like, yeah, I kind of know about this, but she never gave him money. So, like, there is no debt.
I told you he was a scammer. He was a scammer the whole time.
Yeah. So, no one ever saw Mr. Miller again after all of this, where they, like, the wife was like, yeah, she never gave him money. Although they did kind of have a fight, and he said that she cursed him. And so it's very confusing.
Mrs. Steinman was a witch that he owed money to.
Yeah, and it said, however, the wife was under the impression that Mrs. Steinman had not loaned her husband any money. In fact, Mrs. Miller said that the two had quarreled, and her husband claimed that Mrs. Steinman had cursed him.
That feels like a rude insult from back then. You're just like, you get into an argument with somebody, and they're just like, that is a witch. She is a witch. She put a curse on me. Like, I have bad luck now because we got into this argument. Like, maybe you just have bad energy. Like, yeah. How about that?
So the debt is unpaid because no one can confirm that this woman paid him or not, and that it is truly an unpaid debt. She never came forward to collect any of the money, and no one ever saw Mr. Miller again. However, Susanna, her father, was found frozen to death on his own farm.
Oh.
No one knows how it happened. It still remains a mystery, but some locals believe that he met his demise at the hands of Miller, who was angered that his debt had not been repaid.
He didn't have a debt. Like,
I know. They were like, we cannot confirm that this is a real debt, and she never came forward to get her money.
We tried to
Why
pay
would
her.
you kill me?
No, okay, frozen to death, like this was the middle of summer and he's just like sitting out like a popsicle or whatever.
It does not say. I would assume it would be during the winter.
I would also assume, but like it would be creepier if it wasn't.
Yeah, but no one knows like why, because I would assume you're not just sitting out there waiting to be frozen to death.
I hear that when you do freeze though, like you just kind of fall asleep. So maybe he was just like chilling because you said.
But why would he be outside for so long?
No, farmers just be doing that. you ever talk to one of them? Around here, there's a lot of them. Like they just be doing that. They're just outside doing weird stuff. Yeah, it's like ADHD, but like with the farm.
Yes, no one knows how Susanna's father died. They just know that they found him froze to death, and some people believe that Miller came back and killed him because of the unpaid debt. And that is the story of the first ever haunting in the United States in Pennsylvania.
I like that the first ever haunting in the United States is just a confused man.
Yeah, just who's like asking for money.
The rest.
Can you give my wife some money, please? Can you give her money?
Just a man that doesn't know what he's talking.
And then kills someone else.
And accused a woman of being a witch. Yeah, that is exactly how America was founded, actually. Like, it's all of this.
And this is after the witch trials. This was in 1738. This was after the witch trials.
Aren't we only... I'm sorry, wasn't America started in 1776?
Yeah, but we were here before that.
Oh, yeah.
We were here before they do not know about the Revolutionary War.
We have just learned that I don't know anything about anything because somebody had to point out to me. I had to text, or I called you to tell you that in the first episode that we did, I did not know that the St. Valentine's Day Massacre did not occur in the penitentiary, which probably explains some things to some listeners right now who are very confused as to why I was trying to convince you that they had beef outside of the prison.
Yeah,
you're like, obviously.
I didn't realize that you thought the Valentine's Day Massacre happened in the prison.
Yeah.
So when you were like, they probably had beef outside, and I said, well, yeah, that's because...
on account of the murder.
Yeah, I was like, he killed him. And you're like, yeah, but outside of the prison. And I was like, yeah, outside of the prison. That's where it happened.
Anyway, don't come to me for any history, which is ironic considering that we're doing Pennsylvania history. Like,
yeah, but we do a lot of research before our episodes.
Sierra does a lot of research. I show up like an idiot.
Well, I really like this book. We'll go through a couple more stories. Sadly, there's none that are like super close to here. Yeah. But I mean, it is Pennsylvania history. There's a lot. There's one story about Benjamin Franklin is seen skipping around the streets of Philadelphia. I don't know.
Just swinging his ponytail.
Basically, that's the image that I got from it. He's just kind of walking down the streets of Philly, just skipping along.
I'm just imagining like his like frilly little socks bouncing in his little.
Can you imagine if you were in Philly and you just saw Benjamin Franklin just skipping down the street?
I mean, I feel like if you spend enough time in Philly, you would see that, but it's just a guy that does that on Tuesdays.
But then turns out, nope, it's actually Benjamin Franklin. That man had a lot going on. There's also Eastern State Penitentiary in here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's what started it all.
Yeah. So.
I was.
Dick Clark. Oh, we'll have to get into that at some point. Why is he in here?
Dick Clark.
Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve.
What are you, 74? What are you talking
about? Do you not watch The Ball Drop?
Isn't it like Ryan Seacrest?
That's Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. That's what the show is called, but Ryan Seacrest does host. And a whole bunch of other people host, but it used to be Dick Clark that hosted.
Did you ever see the one where Steve Harvey like had like somebody made him like a Lego bust of himself? I hate Steve Harvey. That's why this is funny. So somebody made Steve Harvey like a bust out of Legos and they gave it to him, I think, on New Year's Eve. And then that really like, what is his name? Gronk from...
You're going to go on a rant about Steve Harvey. I'm going to go a rant about Gronk. Rob Gronkowski. I hate that man. I hate the Patriots.
So him just comes up on stage.
Rob Gronkowski.
Spikes the same. Oh my God.
Chaos has ensued.
Just shatters all over everywhere. And Steve Harvey's losing his mind. It's so funny. It's such a funny clip.
Oh my God. Welcome to Spooky History with a side of us ranting about people that we do not like. Michelle doesn't like Steve Harvey. I don't like Rob Gronkowski or Tom Brady.
Rob Gronkowski.
He looks like a thumb. And he's an idiot.
That's his mom's fault, not his.
He's an idiot.
I think that's also probably his dad's fault.
Or it's the CTE.
Maybe that.
Okay, well, let's jump back into ghosts.
I was thinking about this story. Now, I worked in a care facility for like a long time, and I worked overnights there, and lots of weird little things happen there. You just kind of get used to it, you know. Mm-hmm. It like comes with the territory. But the one night, there was all of this like like crashing sounds that were coming from like the back where like the laundry and stuff was. And every time you hear like a noise like that, you can't just be like ignore it because it's a care facility and you don't know like what somebody's gonna get
Right.
into. So we're listening and we can like kind of hear like something. It sounds like it falls over, and then like it sounded like the laundry doors were closing, like opening and closing and stuff. So I get up and we like go back there. Me and my coworker go back there to investigate this and like see what's going on. And I'm like a little spooked, so take her back there. Nothing is back there. Like nothing is happening. We like actively heard it. It stopped when we got there. Nothing was happening. So then we're on the opposite end of the building. So this is a long building. We're on the opposite end of the building. We're in the laundry room, and then we hear the cupboard doors going in the kitchen that we had just come from, and like they're opening and closing like desperately. So we like panic run all the way to the front, and something was actually happening. One of the ladies saw that we were in the laundry room checking that out and came to steal food from the thing. So I don't know.
When you see an opportunity,
yes,
you take
exactly. I was like, she definitely talked to that ghost, and they developed a plan. She's like, you distract them. I'm gonna go get the peanut butter.
That's funny.
So we had to. She was on like a food restriction, and we had to like take it away from her and stuff like. But I have no explanation for what was happening on one side of the house. But we're like booking it, like I said, to the other side, like trying to discover the source of the sound, only to find that it was a human person.
Oh my god.
She was just feeling snacky at like 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, they definitely made that plan together.
There was a lot of times where like the residents would be talking to people that like, might be there, might not be there. I don't know what they're seeing.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that was a formulated plot.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Use those to your advantage sometimes.
Well, we did get a couple listener stories if you want to jump into that. Oh my god, speaking of personal stories, this happened to me literally a couple days ago. So I was in bed, waking up. I'm half awake. I still have my eyes closed, but I'm laying there and I'm just want to go back to sleep, but I'm kind of awake. But all of a sudden, I feel like someone pat my bed, almost like wake up. Like it hit my bed 3 times by my leg, and it just patted my bed like wake up. And I was like, I just immediately was like, hello, what was that?
No, I don't care for that. Let me sleep, ghosty. Like, we can talk later, but like, no, it's not time to get up now.
It was so strange. This happened earlier this week. And I mean, this is after we went to Barkley, after we've been talking about all this stuff. And I'm just like, who was that?
That's Agnes. She was back.
Maybe she was like, hey, wake up.
Oh my gosh. Did you record anything about what you found on those, on the recordings from Barkley?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I'll add it to the end of the episode. I have everything like.
As I still have not gone back and listened to them.
We can go downstairs and listen.
Okay.
Because
I'm a little scared.
It's crazy. Like, as we were leaving, and I said to those people, sorry if we scared you, whatever. There's a very faint voice that we did not hear in person. They didn't hear, and it was not on the spirit box. It said, it's fine.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, it's fine.
Oh.
And I was like,
it's sweet she thought we were talking to her.
Maybe.
Like, sorry we scared you.
But I was just like,
oh, what if we do scare them?
I don't know.
Because we did go up there and like make a bunch of noise with the spirit box and stuff.
Yeah. But it was crazy. Because like I was not expecting it. I was just listening to us. And it was just this very faint little voice going, it's fine.
Oh, that's so sweet. Now I want to go back and listen to them.
Yeah, we will.
Oh. Okay. So, our first listener story comes in from my friend who, him and I had like a lot of experiences together. We lived together. Our experiences, for some reason, seem to circle around like animals and stuff, though.
Oh, interesting.
Which is super strange. We lived in an apartment together up right here on Reddington Avenue, actually. And we both experienced this thing that we called like peripheral cats, which is where like a cat would just like walk behind us or like, like right in the periphery of your vision, except for we did not have a cat at the time. And both of us would see it. And I think it was happening for a while before we had this conversation where like I was just like, sometimes I see a cat. And he's like, I also see a cat. Like
it was just a cat that had
It was
moved
just a
in
cat.
without your knowledge.
So then we just got a cat. And then after that, like if we saw the peripheral cat, we'd just be like, oh, it's probably Biscuit or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't, wasn't really like a spooky feeling. It was just like there's just a cat that hangs
How
out.
did a cat get in here?
Yeah, because we don't have one, and like you would turn around and there would be no cat. Anyway, so he sent us in a story from his time in Harrisburg, actually. So not super local, but he lived down there for a couple of years with his sister, and so he sent us the story. Here's how it goes. He says, this is a bit cliche, but 100% true. In about 2006, I was working as a dishwasher at a retirement home in the suburbs of Harrisburg. The home was called the Woods at Cedar Run, so named for a rather wide and deep creek that ran close by behind the building. There were lots of whispers of the place being haunted. One would assume the haunting stories were due to the passing of the residents. However, those weren't the stories that I heard. The tale as I heard it was that there was once an old farmhouse that stood where the retirement home was now. The farmhouse was home to a small family, husband, wife, and daughter aged around 7 years old. One day, while the father was working, the mother was tending the daughter while outside playing near the creek side. It was said that the mother had either fallen asleep or become distracted long enough for the daughter to enter the creek and unfortunately drown. The mother, distraught and unable to cope with her mistake, hung herself in the family dining room. The father came home to find his daughter and wife dead, and he fetched a shotgun and quickly joined the rest of his family. Yeah. Now, as a dishwasher at the retirement home, I was often the last staff member present on the grounds as it was my job to close down and clean the kitchen. There were lots of little things all the time, a general unease at the feeling of being watched. The rack we used to hang pots and pans would randomly shake and clank, sometimes violently enough to knock cookware onto the floor. To mop the building, there were several little floor mats you'd have to roll up, and box fans we would use to help dry the floor. It was fairly common to find the mats unrolled or the fans turned off or completely unplugged when checked on. One of my jobs as a prep cook was to push a hot cart of food up to the second floor of the building where there was a second dining room. While carting the food down a long hallway that ended in a T, I saw at the end of the hallway, facing toward the left of the T, was a little girl around 6 or 7 years old. She seemed to be dressed in modern clothes, but the situation felt really off. There were no adults in sight, and the girl stood motionless, staring into the unseen part of the hallway. She turned her head in my direction, but I was embarrassed because I was staring, so I quickly put my head down and went to make the turn into the dining room. When I glanced back, the girl was gone. When I got back to the main kitchen, I quickly called the front desk with the office phone to see if any of the residents on the second floor had visitors tonight, and I was told no. The night that this happened...
Sorry to interrupt, but can you imagine just seeing a little girl?
No.
In the middle of a hallway?
I find seeing children in general unsettling. I have a general sense of unease whenever they're around. And so no, especially at my job where there should be no children. And also, if she is there, like, why don't you do the dishes? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
but like, why is it that children in like all of these scary horror things, why are the children so scary? They're like scarier than anything else.
I don't know. They do terrify me. Like in when you're watching like horror movie or something, if it has to do with kids, I'm like, I don't.
Like, I can't imagine just doing your job and then just seeing a random little girl.
I think part of it is like, have you ever had a conversation with a child where they just say whatever's on their brain and like it's like the most unhinged thing? Like they have no like social awareness, so they just like say whatever. To me, that like would also translate. You know what I mean? Like if you're a ghost, you're just gonna do unhinged stuff if you're 6 because that's what they do. Like they're constantly like parkouring off the back of the couch. You know what I mean? Like so weirder stuff's gonna happen, I feel like, when they're around.
Yeah.
And they like lack the social skills to know that what they're doing is weird. I think that's why I think it's unsettling. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know in like all these horror stuff, it's like kids show up and it's just scary for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, also the like the dead-eyed stare of like not having a conscious thought or having to think about bills or anything, you know what I mean? Where like they're just
They're scary because we're jealous of them. That's it. Okay, so this little girl had disappeared after he saw her.
Yes, she disappeared. The night that this happened, I was training a new hire. It was nice to not be alone, and it had come time to close down the kitchen. There was an old receiving dock out back that no longer received supplies and had become storage and a catch-all, as well as quick access to the outside trash area and a place where the kitchen staff would sneak out sometimes to smoke a cigarette. I sent the trainee to put out the trash while finishing up cleaning the kitchen. He came back saying he wasn't going out there, that he had heard rustling and whispering in the wilderness surrounding the building. I told him not to mess with me and that the garbage had to be disposed of, but he basically told me to go check if I didn't believe him. I went to the dock where I noticed immediately that it was really cold back there. It was frigid and I could see my breath. I didn't hear any whispers or rustling, but I was pretty creeped out, so I quickly jumped off the dock, binned the trash, climbed back up, and closed the dock door. To get back into the kitchen, you had to walk right by the office where I made the phone call from earlier. Right as I was passing the threshold to the office, the phone rang. This phone rarely rang. The only way to reach the line was to call the front desk and ask to be transferred to the kitchen. The only time we really got calls were for last-minute meal changes or cancellations near serving time. People didn't generally call the kitchen at 9 o'clock at night. I thought maybe it was the front desk calling me back to let me know that they were mistaken and that there really were guests in the building tonight. When I picked up the receiver, I didn't even get a greeting past my lips. I heard a blood-curdling adult female scream and then a dial tone. I called the front desk again to see if anyone had called and asked to have been transferred to the kitchen, and again I was told no. I told the new hire the story. We finished our jobs as quickly as possible and got the heck out of there. Okay, first of all, if that happens to me, I'm not finishing my job. Somebody else can do the dishes.
Yes.
I'm not sticking around after that.
Answering the phone, hearing a scream, and then the line goes dead. No, I'm done.
Absolutely not. And then to call and have it know that it hasn't been transferred. I am not sticking around. What a good employee, honestly. This story is just how my friend is a good employee, I guess, because ain't no way. You better send security down here because I done crawled out the window, first of all, and somebody's going to need to check this place out.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's no way I'd be finishing the night. I'd call the front desk again and be like, I'm leaving. I have to go now.
I think when I saw the little girl at first, I'd be like, I want you to know that I am not a daycare, and I would have left then.
Yeah, no.
That's been way out of there.
That's really, really creepy. I can't imagine someone calling here, I answer, and then it's just a scream, and then they hang up.
I'm going to start doing that too.
Don't do that.
I won't really, but maybe, I don't know.
No, I don't like that.
Would not be the weirdest phone call you got here.
No, it wouldn't, honestly.
Quite unfortunately. So my mom sent me some stuff. She had visited the Cashtown Inn, which I think is around Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
So I looked it up a little bit after she had sent me her note and learned that the Cashtown Inn was built in 1797. And originally it was just a little bed and breakfast that had 4 rooms or something. During the Gettysburg campaign, it became the headquarters for Confederate officers and staff. The basement also served as a field hospital during the battle. And then in August of 2021, it came under new ownership. They added a couple new suites and stuff. And then they also added a restaurant, which there's an awful lot of haunted bed and breakfasts to become a restaurant, as if that's the spice that the food needs, is just hauntings everywhere.
Also, the bed and breakfast, the Lizzie Borden house is a bed and breakfast. Yes. You can stay there. Why?
I don't know.
Why would you want that? Why would you want to stay there?
I mean, I would do it, but I wouldn't make you do it.
I toured that place and it was really cool because the doorknobs are original. They were the ones that were in the house at the time. And it was just really, really cool to go through. I did not go into the basement.
That's fair.
Refused.
I've lived in houses that I didn't go into the basement ever.
Oh, I don't go into my basement right now. I tried once with my dad, my uncle, and my brother. I went down with them and I said, nope, I can't do this. And I went back upstairs.
Yeah, because that thing is going to get you on your way up the stairs. I don't know what it is, but there's something lurking in like basements.
I don't like it.
And then like you got to run up the stairs as fast as you possibly can so that you don't get like grabbed by the ankles or something. My grandparents have the worst basement stairs because they are like they're not like stairs like closed stairs. They're like just planks. So they're open. So then it can grab you from the front or the back.
That's how ours is, because I moved into my grandparents' house, and that house was the original part of the house was built in the 1800s.
Oh.
And so I'm assuming that basement also was.
Well, what if it wasn't though? They just left the house but then like rebuilt the basement. How do you do that? You fill it in and then unfill it? I don't know.
I don't know how things work.
Definitely. See, this is why we shouldn't put dead bodies in the ground, because then the ground is haunted.
Maybe that's why all basements are haunted.
Yes. It's really just
we figured it out. Someone alert the authorities.
Somebody should alert the authorities on us in general right now.
We should not be allowed.
I don't think that they should be allowed alone.
I am surprised Powers hasn't texted. Like, he drove by and like, what are you doing?
So my mom had stayed at the Cashtown Inn with my Grammy. I want to say like a couple. Well, I'm going to say that it was October 25th, 2023, because her notes say right on the top when it was. So 2 days ago, she stayed at the Cashtown Inn.
Wow.
So she said when she got there around 4:30, she was unpacking, she was putting stuff away. Someone was holding the one cupboard door closed. She said, I tried several times to open it and I couldn't. Then a few minutes later, I could open and close it with ease. A few minutes later, I couldn't open it again, and then I could. My Grammy said that she had no trouble when she tried. So it was just like stuck and then not stuck and then stuck and then not stuck.
Interesting.
9 p.m., sitting in the parlor, I felt cold air whooshing past my legs, more on the left leg. I don't know if that...
So it would have been like on the left side.
Yeah. My Grammy heard clomping in the middle of the night, more of a knocking sound, pattern type noise. I circled some coins in a book and one of the dimes was moved slightly. So I actually saw... My mom took photos of a lot of this stuff and showed me the photos, but obviously it's a podcast, so I don't have. So what she did was like, she put this notepad that she's writing this stuff down on, and she put the coins on the notepad and then drew circles around the notepad and then took a picture of it like in the evening, and then she took another picture of it in the morning, and one of the coins was pushed out of the circle.
Oh, wow.
And you can like see that in the photos and stuff. So I did see that photo, and it's like enough that it's like it's just the one. It's not like they were like all knocked askew or something like that. Like there's just like the one that's like pushed out. Then on Thursday, October 26th, when we came back from breakfast, the nickel had been moved slightly. In the middle of the night, a loud bang woke my mom up. October 27th, my Grammy is pretty sure she saw a man sitting in the chair near the door while she was reading and while my mom was napping. As they were trying to go to sleep at about 1:30 in the morning, someone touched my mom's back. She looked over at my Grammy, and she wasn't close enough to have done it on accident. And then she asked her, and she said that she hadn't touched her. Then right before she fell asleep again, she felt it again on her back, and my Grammy was sleeping at that point, so she didn't do it. And then my mom went to the Jenny Wade house.
I have a thing from the Jenny Wade house.
Ooh.
You go first.
She just said it felt like really weird and heavy. And then she had taken a picture, and there's a woman in an old dress in the picture that she took in front of a mirror in the house. No way. What is your face right now?
Was it upstairs?
It just says an old, yeah.
I was upstairs when my mom and I went on this tour, and they had mentioned a mirror on the wall, and I just took a picture of it. And then later that night after the tour, we got back to the hotel room, and I'm going through them, and there is a man's face in the mirror.
Oh my gosh.
And like I looked at that, and then I kind of like looked up like pictures of the family, and I'm pretty sure it's Jenny Wade's father that was in the mirror.
I got them like goosebumps again.
Yeah.
That's when I said that, like, and I could like see the look on your face or something.
Because I was gonna tell you about the mirror, and then you said it happened by the mirror.
That's weird. What's with the mirror?
I don't know.
That. What? Okay.
So do you know like why mirrors are a part of the paranormal world? And why you should never face a mirror like
with another mirror?
Yeah, you should never put a mirror facing another mirror.
Yeah.
So like it's believed that mirrors can be used as portals.
Yeah.
I would say they can go in and out. And that is intensified when you put a mirror facing another mirror. It creates what is called a vortex.
Yep.
And you should never, ever, ever do that.
My grandma's been doing it for years because that's how she does her hair. It's like she has like a handheld mirror and then she turns around and like does that or whatever. But like so far she's not been haunted, or maybe she is. Once again, I don't know if she would tell.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming it's the same mirror. There's not a lot of mirrors in that place.
What is the Jenny Wade house? Because I don't know anything about this.
Jenny Wade is the only civilian casualty of the Battle of Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
She and her family were inside the house. Her sister was in the bedroom so Jenny Wade was in the kitchen, and her sister was in the bedroom just off of the kitchen, and she was laying there. She had just given birth to a baby.
Oh.
And so she's in the bed with the baby, and Jenny Wade is making bread for the soldiers.
Oh, okay.
And so she is sitting there. Her mom is sitting at the table, and they believe it was a sniper from the Farnsworth house so the Farnsworth house had been taken over by the Confederates, and there was a sniper at the top window that was shooting at the Union Army, and they believe it was one of those snipers had shot, and it went to Jenny Wade's house through the first door, through the second door, and then hit Jenny Wade in the back.
That is, first of all, what kind of gun is that?
Yeah.
Second of all, like, that, okay, that.
Yeah, so it went through 2 doors, hit her in the back, and she, like, was instantly dead. And she fell over, and her mom is screaming.
Oh.
And so they took her to the basement, but they couldn't go outside because there's a shooting war going on. And so like they like took her through the house and then got down to the basement somehow, and she sat in the basement for a while, and her father was really, really protective of his daughters. He wasn't a great man, but he was really protective of his daughters. So it said like they have a like a dummy laying there where they like had her until the war was over. So like if you go into the basement now, you'll see the dummy there. And
I don't care for that.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I also feel like it's disrespectful because like I feel like if I pass away and like you're like making money off of my final moments, like I don't care for that at all. I'd haunt that place too.
Yeah, but it said that if you like
money,
if you disturb that dummy, like her father will hurt you because he's like, that's my daughter.
Yeah.
And so that's Jenny Wade. She's the only casualty of that battle. And yeah, they believe she was killed by a sniper at the Farnsworth house. And like the original doors are still there. You can still see the bullet that it went, and they'll line up the doors exactly how they were. And you can see how it went through both doors and would have hit her.
That is crazy that it made it through both doors to get to her. Also, imagine a battle where the only civilian casualty was so notable that we're still talking about her.
Right.
Whereas we have civilian casualties every single day now.
Yeah.
Like you don't, that's just part of war now. We don't even think about it anymore. But like this was, when things were maybe a little bit more, not civilized because they were shooting at each other. But That's really sad.
But yeah, that is Jenny Wade. And I guess after this happened, her family had moved away and all that. But it's believed she's still there and that her father is still there, which is who I'm pretty sure I caught in the mirror.
I wonder who the lady in the dress was that my mom was talking about.
It was probably Jenny Wade.
Yeah.
Because that's all they wore back then. And she had a corset on.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, don't look in the mirrors at the Jenny Wade house, I guess.
Or take a picture of it, see if you get something. Because it's crazy.
I don't really care for mirror selfies because of the same thing where I feel like the phone or the photo and the mirror probably like create the same thing.
Yeah.
As the mirror in the mirror. Mirrors kind of freak me out.
Yeah, they do. It's
not just like on
really
a spiritual level, but like I will go into public restrooms and put my finger up against the mirror before I will use the restroom.
Oh my God.
Because if your finger touches your finger, that means it's a two-way mirror. Just in case you don't know, check mirrors because it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have left bathrooms before because it will touch. And I'm like, I'm getting the heck out of here.
Ooh.
So I don't like them. And plus, I just don't want to know what I look like most of the time. So I avoid them like the plague. They just spiritually don't feel good. And then they also just like in reality don't feel good. I don't like them. So I would not be taking mirror selfies in the Jenny Wade house. Maybe because I'm too wimpy. But
yeah,
that is spooky that both of you guys caught something. I could, like I said, I saw it on your face when I like brought it up.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to tell you about. And I mean, a couple other weird things happened there. I mean, we were upstairs and my mom and I are like by the stairs to go down, and we both heard something like crash downstairs.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, hello? And when that was our next place to go, we went downstairs. Nothing was like out of place or anything.
When you're on the tour there, like who's with you? Is it like a bunch of people or is it?
Yeah, it's a bunch of people.
Okay.
So you just get a ticket and they take everyone that signed up for that time and go. They usually split you up in two because you go to the Jenny Wade house and then the orphanage there.
My mom said that when she was at the orphanage, she like felt a tiny hand touch her leg too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, Miss Ma'am, can I have some more? Like,
yeah, the orphanage is really, really sad.
Yeah. I can't imagine that first of all was a fun place to be. Orphanages back in the day don't sound like positive experiences.
No. I guess when it started, the lady that was in charge of it, she was really nice. The kids really loved her and everything was fine. But then she got married and she left, and the lady that took over was not nice.
Okay, quick question. So to adopt a child now, they have to do like all these crazy background checks and they want you to be married and they want you to be blah, blah, blah. But like to run an orphanage full of children with no parents, you could just be like a single lady and like 30 kids.
Yeah.
Like what?
And she was not nice to them at all.
Oh.
Like the things she did to them. Oh my God.
What is wrong with people?
It's almost as bad as Eastern State Penitentiary, what she did to those children.
No. Oh, I don't want to think about that.
It was awful.
As much as they creep me out, the idea of like, you know what really gets me? I'm going to cry thinking about this. Do you have like things that get you in like movies or like media or whatever? Mine is like, especially if it's like a little boy, when they like are like misunderstood or like they're like lost or forlorn or something. Like I cannot stand watching like a child in pain like in a movie or reading about it or anything like that. Like,
I know. It's like how could you do that?
How can you look at like a child and like not want to protect them with like everything that you have? Like they're so innocent. Uninfluenced and like innocent and like just, you know, like, and I appreciate that about them because, you know, it kind of sucks out here. Yeah. And like things don't always stay that way, and like trying to protect like kids until like kids that see too much too young or whatever, like it just breaks my heart.
And I mean, the idea of like she even stopped letting them go outside because people would see them outside and they're like, hey, those kids don't look good. And then they'd send people to the orphanage and she would somehow always get out of it. And so she just slowly just didn't let them go outside for people to question it.
I hate also hearing about like how many times other people do try to help.
I know.
And then nothing is done about it.
Yeah.
That really makes me angry.
Like,
knowing that like people were going into there and like checking that orphanage out or whatever and then finding like nothing wrong.
because she hid them in the basement.
What is wrong with people?
She did a lot of horrible things to them. Mainly it was in the basement. And if she was really mad at a kid, she put them in what was called the pit. And I went in it. It's in the basement and you go down a very long dark hallway down the basement and it's just a hole in the wall. Like literally it's a hole in the concrete in the wall that she would shove them in for who knows how long.
It's very Trunchbull coded. Do you think the little dog got like inspiration from
probably
the situation?
Probably because
That's
it was
horrific.
just like, and like there was this little kid on our tour and he's a little kid so he didn't understand the magnitude of everything that happened. And we're in the pit. I am hunched over. I'm 5 foot tall, so most places I don't have to bend over. I'm just so short, it doesn't affect me. But I am so hunched over in this little pit in the wall. And this kid, God bless this kid for not knowing how to like knowing anything about this, because he was like, you know, if I had my iPad and a charger down here, I don't think it'd be too bad. And his mom's like, no. He goes, this wouldn't be too bad. I just need my iPad and a charger.
My iPad and a charger.
He goes, it wouldn't be too bad. And his mom's just like, no.
Honestly, I feel like probably a lot of kids feel that way. When I was a kid, I did this well into my teenage years.
That's still being a kid, though.
Yes. I used to sleep in my closet, like, a lot. Like, I put up, like, a little, like, push nightlight or whatever in there, and I would just go into my closet, and that's, like, where I would read my books. Like, I would just hang out. And it wasn't, like, a walk-in closet. Like, it was, like, a closet. My mom would come in, and I would just be sleeping. Like, I would have piles of blankets, like, a little nest, and, like pillows, and I would just be in my closet. Or she would, like, come to check on me in my room, and I would just be in my closet all the time. Like, because it was, like, the one, you know, when you're a kid, you don't own anything, and you don't, like, whatever. And so, like, even your room, like, really isn't your room. And so it was just, like, the one spot where, like, you know, I would just go and, like, not be bothered. So probably, he probably would be fine.
Yeah. I just thought that kid was really funny. But, because, like, he doesn't know. Yeah, he's a kid. He didn't understand, like, what happened to these kids was horrible.
Yeah.
And he's can't put himself back at that time period either, because he's like, oh, if I just had my iPad, I think this would be a pretty sweet deal.
I don't think that I could look into this orphanage, because I tell you what, have you ever seen Where the Wild Things Are?
No.
There's this scene in there. First of all, watch that movie. Second of all, there's this scene where Max is like upset with his sister because, okay, it's so sad.
Oh.
So he builds like a fort or whatever, and he wants his sister to come play with him, but his sister's like too cool because she's like a teenager or whatever. And then his sister's friends come and like crush his fort. And so he's like really sad, and he's covered in snow, and he goes, I'm gonna cry.
Oh no!
He goes into his sister's room, and he's like covered in snow, and he just stomps all over his stuff, and then he finds something that he like made for her, and he like crushes it. And then he like realizes what he's done, and he just starts bawling. Aww. And my heart cannot handle it.
Oh no!
I cannot watch children like
sad.
It's
so
experience like emotions that are too big for their tiny little bodies. Like I can't handle it. And like watching like him, he was a very good actor, by the way. Watching him like portray like regret was like so sad. My first movie that I ever cried to was Hope Floats, where she's like running after the car because her dad is like leaving and she doesn't understand why.
No.
And like just watching children experience like emotions that are like too big for their little bodies. Like I cannot physically do it. Like just stay like this forever. Like there's like a 7 and a 13-year-old that I hang out with a lot. And like the 13-year-old is definitely to the point where she like, you know, she understands stuff. She's a teenager. She like gets it or whatever. And so like I walk her through some complicated emotions sometimes, and like that's okay. Like we're coping with it. But like I just want the 7-year-old to stay 7, you know? It's just like I just want you to enjoy things. And I don't know. Anyway, I can't look into the orphanage. It just
I would tell you more things about it, but I don't think I can, because you will cry.
I probably will. I'm very emotional about it. Like
it's
I don't.
If anyone is listening, you can look into the orphanage in Gettysburg. It is so sad. I mean,
do we know what it's called?
It's just the orphanage.
Oh, wow. They were really creative with that name. Is everything in Gettysburg named like that? Like the orphanage, the restaurant?
No.
The Jenny Wade house?
Yeah. No, but yeah, that one is it's just called the orphanage. And there's a person that lives there.
Why?
He lives in the orphanage. He was our tour guide. He's a tour guide there. But
man.
But he lives in the orphanage.
I don't care for that.
No. And he'll tell you stories. Like, he said that one time he was sleeping on the couch and he woke up and saw the mean lady that ran the orphanage was just standing at the end of his couch. And he said, and I was very brave. I pulled the blankets over my head and waited for her to leave. It was really funny.
You have to have a sense of humor, I think, if you live in a haunted orphanage with a pit. Like, what on earth? Imagine the context for that is lost. You know what I mean? And then just someday it's just like a dude used to live there. Like, what on earth? Oh my gosh. But why would you live there?
I don't know. I was like, you are very brave to live here.
Do you ever see those memes on the internet though, where it's like $80,000 for a 5-bedroom? Me and the ghosts are just gonna have to get along.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
it's like a murder occurred here. Sweet.
Maybe we'll get into Gettysburg. There's so much with Gettysburg.
Yeah, I do hear like a lot of, and we brought it up before because your parents had visited down there.
That's actually where I got this book. Well, my parents got it for me while they were there.
When they were there without you so rudely?
Yeah. Because they had been talking about it, and I just assumed I was invited, that it was a family vacation. And then they're like, can you watch the dogs while we leave? And I said, huh? And they're like, it's just us. And I said, what do you mean? Well, we've been recording for an hour and a half, and I'm pretty sure this episode is going to be 30 minutes long.
That's 30 minutes might be generous.
Yeah. So there's, if I leave this part in, there's a lot that we had to cut out. We were not capable to film or record on a Sunday morning. We went on a lot of tangents.
This is the bravest thing that we've done.
Yeah.
That guy with the blanket over his head or whatever. It's like I bravely waited for her to go away.
Yeah.
Like, we made the drive like early this morning. I actually did get up this morning at 7 though. Like, which is good for me because, and it wasn't because I needed to be anywhere yet. I didn't even set my alarm till 8:30. I was really proud of me.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. If you guys have any stories of your own, don't forget to send them our way. You can text us, message us on Facebook, or you can send it to the email that is in the description. And of course, we're going to go through more of this book as well.
It does look like a pretty cool book. I'm pretty excited about the things that are in there. And then we'll probably have more listener stories as we get more into the different places that we're going to visit. But I'm very excited about the episode that we're going to be recording upcoming.
Yes.
We did get like a message back from somebody that I am super stoked about.
I know. I'm excited about it too.
So good things are coming up.
Yes. So thank you for joining us for this episode. And I guess until next time.
Yeah.
Oh God. I gotta get up.